I took every drug known to man at the same time to stimulate every corner of my brain. And this was the result.
What's good, nerds? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Movie Mass. I am your brother Jay, the movie monk himself, Bishop of Bull Moose, and I'm here to bring you the good word. Over the past couple of days, I think we've gotten some pretty good news in the form of a couple of announcements. One yesterday, one today, at least as I'm recording this. Maybe you've already heard, probably you've already heard these announcements, and yet I want to share my elation. Did I just spill that on myself? Damn. I swear this is my first one, guys. Yesterday, I'm very pleased to inform you, and very excited below the belt, Arrow announced Enter the Video Store Volume 2. Now, I had been disappointed with the tease that only resulted in the Arrow Closet Picks thing, the Arrow version of the Criterion Closet. So this is them redeeming themselves. I think earlier I had assumed, along with many other people on the internet, perhaps that tease from a week or two ago was Enter the Video Store Volume 2. We all got excited. Arrow is now trying to fix their mistake, which I appreciate. Now, my general impression of Arrow is that they have seemed to, like with more recent stuff, they've seemed to move a little bit into like some more 90s stuff and stuff that had a decent budget, good theatrical presence, a lot of studio stuff. I'm thinking stuff that's not exactly cult cinema, things like The Mask, the original TMNT trilogy, Under Siege. I mean, lesser known these days than like Die Hard, which it was clearly imitating, but Under Siege, it's a pretty well-known movie that was put out by a major studio. Snakes on a Plane, when did that come out? That was like 2005. That's not even that old of a film. Got drunk in that movie, by the way. So, I mean, like, I really wouldn't call these films cult films. These movies got too much TV airtime on channels like TNT or USA or something like that. I mean, even Spawn isn't really what I would call cult. It's probably the closest to cult cinema of the 90s stuff that Arrow has put out in the last year or so. But I think, it's a massive, Spawn is a massive intellectual property. It was a big theatrical distribution. So, I mean, I'm not feeling it. Even Spawn is a little bit bigger. So the way I see it, Enter the Video Store, those sets are a good way for Arrow to keep at least one foot in that cult cinema domain. In fact, I think the Enter the Video Store sets are kind of like Arrow's way of doing like their version of Vinegar Syndrome Archive. The Vinegar Syndrome Archive, of course, was meant to celebrate forgotten cinematic oddities from the video store era. That's quoting Vinegar Syndrome's website. And in some ways, I think Arrow has even achieved this mission better than the VSA line has, at least in the past year or two. The VSA line, I think, recently has just been way too full of Hong Kong films. It didn't have any presence in US video stores during that era. You can't tell me that your local video store had Descendant of the Sun on the shelf in 1991. I will not believe such a claim. So I'm really looking forward to Enter the Video Store. But I'm not without my own expectations for this set. I have my own expectations for this set of movies. In addition to ass and titties, in order for Enter the Video Store Volume 2 to knock my socks off, I really want to see a collection of US domestic films only. This is not a Giallo box set. Arrow has plenty of Giallo box sets. This is not a Hong Kong cinema box set. Arrow has put out plenty of sets of both Hong Kong as well as Japanese films. Those things have their own line, the V Cinema Essentials or whatever it is. Keep that over there. Keep the Giallo over there. You got your own space for each different genre. The films in the Enter the Video Store box set absolutely need to be films that would have been accessible to us, the video store kids, in the late 80s or early 90s. I think that's a pretty simple criterion. Not New York City Chinatown. It's got to be some like Kansas, Mississippi, some Midwestern, Nebraska-ass video store in some Americana mom and pop had these movies, not New York City Chinatown imports that didn't even have English subtitles. You can't tell me Descendant of the Sun was available in 1992. It just wasn't. So don't put that shit. I love the martial arts shit. Y'all know me. Y'all were watching this channel back in November. You know I was just doing this about Hong Kong that whole month. Chop sake everything. So anyway, I'm wearing chop sake underwear right now. That's a lie. I'm not wearing any underwear. But if I was wearing underwear, I would be wearing chop sake underwear right now. Y'all know I love it. I just don't want it in this set. Don't contaminate. Don't cross-pollinate. Let's keep the bloodlines pure. This is actually starting to sound pretty bad. Anyway, you get my drift, right? I also want to see the movies are at the very most recent, like early 90s. I don't want to see shit from 1998 in there. That's DVD era at this point. It has to be VHS era shit. Don't give me Sphere or some shit like that. Also, the titles don't need to be 4K. The last set was Blu-ray only, and it keeps the whole thing kind of well-priced, I think. It keeps the price tag very moderate, like 65, 75 bucks. I think that's the range I paid for the first set. 65 bucks for 5 movies is really not a bad deal at all, especially with the level of special features that were included. There was a lot of special features included, multiple versions of a few of the films, and so I appreciate the set feeling really full in addition to the number of movies you get, but everything that goes along with the films. I thought it was really good, and I want to see that from Volume 2 as well. Especially with how long we've waited. I mean, I think Volume 1 came out in early 2024. I want to say that was like a spring 2024 release. So it's been almost 2 years, I want to say. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong down below, but it's been almost 2 years. If you're going to make us wait 2 years for Volume 2, you got to fill it. You got to pack that thing. You got to really cram it in. Both ends, every hole got to be stuffed with special features. Now, it would be nice if the titles were new to Blu-ray, but most of the titles in Volume 1 were previously published on Blu-ray, so I didn't own any of those. It was fine. It made the box set appealing to me, but a lot of those had been released by Scream Factory, Shout Factory, etc. So if they're going to do like a blue to blue conversion, it'd be nice if they grabbed some films that were hard to get at retail price. Give us something that's going to enhance the value a little bit. Nobody wants to spend $100 on a Blu-ray. So new to blue would be cool, but something that's not accessible, at least in 2026 for a reasonable retail price, would also be a good buy, in my opinion. So I'm really excited to see what's going to be in Volume 2. There's a few hints. They've showed us a little bit of a preview of one side of the box. You guys remember the limited edition box? It was like 5 of the 6 sides had stuff on it. It looked like a full 3D like diorama of a video store. It was like the front of the store, the side alley, the back of the store, the other side alley, and characters and moments from the films were depicted in that diorama around this like video store. And they're going with a similar aesthetic this time, clearly from the art that they've previewed. And so we might be able to even pick out a few possible films that might be included. I think in the coming weeks, there'll be a lot of fun speculation as to what films are going to be included based on what we've seen from the box art. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be in there. And I assume that we're going to get the official announcement on February 27th. That's the last Friday in this month, February. That is when Arrow does their announcements. I'm assuming they're going to announce it, but we also know Arrow. Sometimes they like to announce shit way early. Like maybe this thing doesn't even come out till December or something crazy. Maybe it doesn't even come out till 2027. They've done that before with Red Sonja. They announce shit hella early sometimes, and man, it's really hard to stay hard that whole time. So don't tease me, Arrow. Another big announcement dropped this morning. And this is not one that I was anticipating specifically, although I was generally anticipating it. I will toot my own horn in another moment. But Vinegar Syndrome announced on Facebook and Instagram that they are reissuing Rad. Everybody sit down. Everybody hold on to something. Vinegar Syndrome is reissuing Rad on 4K, this time as a special VSU release. Boom. Okay. Everybody, take a few deep breaths into a paper bag. This is the film, Rad is the film that Vinegar Syndrome originally said they would not be reissuing in any format. Look, I got the archive. They said it. They said they weren't going to reissue it. You've seen it. I've seen it. We've all seen it. It's now on the channel forevermore. We've got evidence. Now, this is more of a controversial release, and honestly, I kind of see both sides, both opinions in this matter. I mean, I'll start with my particular hot take. I don't see why Rad is as hyped as it is. Rad, in my opinion, belongs in one of my videos about overrated movies, and maybe it will. Maybe I'll bitch about Rad in a future segment of overrated movies. I definitely think Rad fits that bill. I gotta say, I don't hate Rad. I like Rad even. I will watch Rad again before I die, especially with this 4K coming out. I just don't think that Rad deserves all of the hype that it gets. I think Rad is overhyped. I think it's overrated. I think people jizz their pants over Rad, and I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like when people say Maggie Gyllenhaal is hot. I've been listening to that shit for the last 20 years, ever since The Dark Knight or maybe before that. She might be talented creatively. She might be talented as an artist, as an actor, as a director, etc. I'm willing to watch her in films, but you can't tell me Maggie Gyllenhaal's hot. You can't tell me that. She's not ugly either. I don't think she's ugly. But again, it's like with Rad. The coolest movie ever, and I've seen Rad. It is not the coolest movie ever. I don't agree with people on that. I'll take Gleaming the Cube over Rad any day of the week and twice on Sunday. It doesn't make any sense to me. On the other hand, so the other half of this argument, I kind of appreciate because I don't own Rad on 4K. I don't have a copy of Rad on 4K. I did not purchase it last time Vinegar Syndrome put it up for sale. I didn't get the lenticular. I didn't get it when they put it out for the Rad weekend in 2024. I was just not on the ball with Rad at that time. I had a Blu-ray copy and I said my blue will do. You guys know I've changed my tune. We're all allowed to change our minds, people. No 4K, no care, and that's my mantra for 2026. And I'm glad Vinegar Syndrome's going to give me another crack at this because I don't have this one, and it'd be nice to get a 4K from Vinegar Syndrome at a retail price. I also appreciate Vinegar Syndrome announcing it now, clearly, putting it out there. Not trying to make it a secret surprise, not like keeping it hush-hush, because it's the 40-year anniversary of the release of Rad, okay? So all sort of other boutiques are going to be doing their own special 40th anniversary editions. Vinegar Syndrome naturally wants to protect their territory, right? I think I mentioned that in a recent video. I'll toot my horn again in another second, but Vinegar Syndrome wants to protect their territory. They know that people are going to import these 40th anniversary versions of Rad from Umbrella or whoever else, especially if they don't have any idea that Vinegar Syndrome is doing one. So I appreciate Vinegar Syndrome telling us now that they're going to do a 40th anniversary 4K release of Rad, so that this way we can plan which version we're going to purchase, and if Umbrella beats them to market, that's okay. I'll wait for Vinegar Syndrome if I'm a Vinegar Syndrome fan, especially since they said they'd never reissue the thing. They told us in 2020 they was never going to reissue this thing. Then they did another 1,000 print run in 2024 or whatever, and now they're reissuing it yet again. This is a re-release. This is the second re-release of Rad. So I think this one is going to be a big seller for Vinegar Syndrome. Honestly, I think they've sold a lot of copies of Rad historically. I think the record shows that Rad sells well for Vinegar Syndrome. They sold a whole bunch of, the first time with the lenticular slipcover. They sold the 1,000 copies that I mentioned in September of 2024. So I think they're going to do another 10 or 12,000, probably 12,000 copies of this VSU. And I don't doubt that many of those copies, it may not sell out because this is the third time, it's their third go round with Rad. So it may not sell out this time because I think a lot of the chatter online is that people are going to stick with the 4K that they already have. A lot of these long-term Vinegar Syndrome fans are going to stick with the 4K they already have. That might reduce sales a little bit for the VSU, at least out the gates, but over the course of a couple of years, they're going to sell plenty more copies of Rad. Now, here's where I get to brag. I hate to brag about being right, which is a lie. I actually love reminding everyone when I'm right. That's actually why I'm recording this and putting it out on YouTube for the world to recognize I was right. This ties into two of the predictions that I made for physical media in 2026. Last month, I did a video where I predicted trends for physical media collecting in 2026, and two of my predictions are already coming to fruition. So call me Quasimodo, because
Quasimodo predicted all this.
First, I used the power of the Force, I foresaw Vinegar Syndrome doing more of these re-releases of popular out-of-print limited editions, but using new artwork, making alternative artwork, and then re-releasing these. This helps them to kind of have their cake and eat it too a little bit. They get to say that the thing is limited to 8,000 copies or 10,000 copies, whatever, but then also in 2 or 3 years, they get to reissue more limited editions of these proven sellers. The second thing that I predicted is coming to pass with this announcement is that Vinegar Syndrome is acting to protect their territorial rights of exclusivity over the Rad product. I had mentioned before that I do think, importing a movie is so easy these days. It's easy to get your hands on Second Sight, Umbrella, and other things that are technically not supposed to be sold in the United States because of territorial exclusivity rights. And yet it's super duper easy. You go to Orbit, Diabolic, plenty of other online movie stores where it's super duper easy to get that. And you're not paying much over whatever the retail is for the Second Sight originally. You're not paying an extra premium or anything like that. In some cases, they're downright affordable. Have you guys seen that Second Sight, the Hitcher box? I think I paid like $50 for that thing. That thing's huge. Anyway, I digress, but I foresaw that companies like Vinegar Syndrome, but others too, Vinegar Syndrome seems to be the most interested in this, and I think it has to do with their company's size comparatively to something like Criterion and Arrow. With Vinegar Syndrome really just having the one territory of the US and Canada, I foresee them doing more of this. Now, I appreciate the way that they've done this. In the past, as with Cannibal the Musical, instead of going to the retailer and saying, don't you dare sell this other copy from this other territory, and having squabbles and beef that maybe doesn't look good to fans on the internet, this way at least they're coming out and they're saying, we're gonna do this Rad product as a VSU release for the 40th anniversary in 2026. And so you might see other people putting one out, like Umbrella or other companies. Don't feel like you have to import that thing because we're going to do it. I appreciate that announcement near the very beginning of the year, and then that way you can plan to make your purchases accordingly. And you can buy from Umbrella if you prefer Umbrella. You can buy from Vinegar Syndrome if you prefer Vinegar Syndrome, but at least you're able to make the most fully informed decision about which version of Rad you want to buy, unless you agree with me and the thing's overrated. Ultimately, I don't really blame Vinegar Syndrome for this move. And I want their business to be successful overall. I want Vinegar Syndrome to stay in business and keep giving me nice 4Ks of movies that I like. So a lot of Vinegar Syndrome fans, on the other hand, to kind of counterbalance that, people on the forums, online, they're not super happy about this one. I don't see a lot of excitement from the longer term fans. Maybe the more casual or more recent collectors are going to be pretty excited about this, but the people who've been collecting, who bought Rad the first go-round when it was first released by Vinegar Syndrome on 4K, they don't seem super stoked about that. And I'm really trying to see it from their point of view as well. by publishing Rad 4K, this time as a special VSU, it does keep it off the VS mainline, which is good, so it keeps that long-term fan from receiving a second copy of Rad as a part of their subscription. So any long-time subscribers don't have to worry that one of their subscription titles is going to be something that they already own. So I see this as a plus. Releasing it as a sub-label gives people the opportunity at it, but it doesn't push it on somebody who's a subscriber unnecessarily. So they're not getting a re-release taking up a subtitle, and I think that is a good move overall on Vinegar Syndrome's part. But it also seems like a lot of the longer time fans are also saying that they dislike the idea of the re-release because they don't want to buy something they already own, but also because the resources that went into the re-release of Rad could have gone into doing something else that Vinegar Syndrome hasn't already released. There's going to be a new Dolby Vision master for this version of Rad, so it's not a, strictly speaking, it's not just a re-release. They're adding new special features, new bonus content, and a new Dolby Vision master. So hypothetically, this is a at least semi-new product. It's the same movie that they released, but this is like a newer master with more, they'll have the archival special features, but some new special features as well. So it's still kind of a new product, and resources go into that from Vinegar Syndrome's part. And so some people are thinking Vinegar Syndrome might have been better off using those resources to serve the customers a little differently. That one I understand, that complaint I understand a little bit. I can see that one. If they prefer resources go one way or the other. I mean, it's a business decision, and you're not always going to agree with the decisions that a business makes. And again, they're doing what they need to do to maximize their profits and keep the business on the tracks and making money for the investors and such. So, you know, on the one hand, I don't blame them for making sure to be fiscally responsible with their revenue. At the same time, there were people like me that weren't around 5 years ago. I wasn't buying Vinegar Syndrome stuff in 2020. So, you know, there are people who will appreciate the opportunity to buy this new VSU version. And Vinegar Syndrome has confirmed with my man's Chase from AV Pop Culture that the Rad VSU is going to be an extra VSU on top of their normal 4 VSUs. So it sounds like we're even getting 5 VSUs this year. So I just see that, you know, it's an extra, it's a bonus, it's cherry on top. You buy it if you wanna, you don't buy it if you don't wanna, but you're not gonna, it's not gonna take up one of your sub boxes, and it's not gonna take up one of the normal VSU releases either. So it feels like this is mostly a win. You know, Vinegar Syndrome makes a little bit more money. We get a crack at Rad, but nobody's making you take it either if you're a sub. So as I've thought this all through, and the edibles are kicking in, and I'm filled with a Christian love and a Buddhist compassion for my fellow humans, I think this move benefits me overall, and it doesn't harm anybody else. So, you know, you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. It's cool. Ultimately, I'm for it. I will buy this one as soon as it releases so as not to miss it. My only pet peeve is a principled one, is a principled stand. Vinegar Syndrome did say that they would never reissue this, and they didn't have to say that. I mean, they didn't have to say that back in 2020. They could have left the door open and just not made a proclamation that they would never reissue the thing that they've now reissued twice now. So I don't really care. People are free to change their minds. Like I said before, Vinegar Syndrome can change their mind too. You know, money is green after all. Speaking of green money, I'd like to thank these patrons. Put it down, man. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Speaking of putting it down, let's say bye-bye to the beer.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid, you have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.